Well, it was in the springtime when the kings go to war. There should be some foreboding music, like "Bah, bah, bah," because the writer of 2 Samuel 11 seems to be indicating right away something's amiss. Something's going to happen here. Something's wrong. And what happened was we find that there was, in the springtime, when the kings go to war, where do we find King David? Well, King David was on his couch. When kings go to war, David's on his couch. Step one of a very bad story. He's on his couch, and then it says he rose to go from his couch to the rooftop in the afternoon. Well, let me just read it to you. 2 Samuel 11:2. It says, it happened late one afternoon when David arose from his couch and was walking on the roof of the king's house, his house, that he saw from the roof a woman bathing. And the woman was very beautiful. And David sent and inquired about the woman. And one said, is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? Brackets, who's fighting for you on the front lines right now, King David? It was basically a hefty warning saying, you should probably back off this. Well, David sent messengers and took her, and she came to him, it says, and he lay with her. And now she had been purifying herself from her uncleanness, which is also against the Torah, the law of God. Even they shouldn't have been together even if they were married in the midst of that. And so it says she returned to her house, and the woman conceived. And she sent and told David, I'm pregnant. Bah, bah, bah. Well, you know what? He should have been off with his men fighting the battle, but he was losing another battle up here and in here. He had gone up on the roof, saw her bathing, caught his attention, could not turn his eyes away. Rather than bouncing his mind or bouncing his eyes, he began to dwell on her, was fascinated by her, justifies his actions by inquiring of her. I wonder how she's doing. Maybe I should have her come up, yes, and we'll have tea. And so sends for her. He's the king. What the king wants, the king gets. She comes up to him. He ends up laying with her, it says. And, there's a lot that it doesn't say. It doesn't say that, he knew she was going to be out there. Maybe he knew that she was going to be out there. Often is out there, and so he stayed behind just to kind of get a look. Doesn't say that. Doesn't say that maybe she actually was trying to get his attention. Doesn't say that. So, we could give David a bit of the benefit of the doubt that he happened to be up there, but he should have been at war. He happened to be up there, and he happened to see her, and woo, is caught. Didn't know what to do with it. Gets all consumed, and she becomes pregnant, and their little baby boy comes forth. Now, we're just going to stop there and look at this short little paragraph because there's lots here. We're going to be in this story for at least a couple of days. There's so much in this entire story of David and Bathsheba. But right now, one of the main lessons I think we can take is we got to know our own tendencies, our own weaknesses. We got to know our temptations. We need to know the cycles of our temptations, and be aware of our weak points. David should have been at the front with his men. He wasn't. He was being lazy. He was being all comfortable on his couch. Then he jaunts up to the roof, take a look around in the afternoon. He wasn't where he should have been. Often we're not where we should be. We're not, physically or just spiritually or mentally, we're not where we should be. Like the song says, my heart is prone to wander. We wander into areas we shouldn't wander into, literally, physically, and in our mind's eye. We wander to places, we fantasize things, we create vain imaginations. and we just go off into these places where we shouldn't be wandering off into, or we see things we shouldn't see and we dwell on it. We don't avert our eyes. We don't bounce our eyes. Maybe we wait too long when we're flicking the remote and we see something and we just hold it there when we shouldn't hold it there. We should keep bouncing. Or maybe we see a beautiful woman walking down. By the way, they say this is every man's battle, but it's not just a lesson for men. Women have the same struggles. And, maybe we see, though, a beautiful person of the opposite sex, and we're like, whoa, wow. We could say, poof, God, well done. And we will immediately hear him say, thank you. Now turn your eyes away. You've looked long enough. And, we just bounce off and carry on. We don't have to dwell there. Billy Graham said, the birds will fly around your head. Do not let them nest in your hair. So like sometimes we get thoughts come in, left field thoughts. Whoa, where'd that come from? And it's like a tempting thought or something like that. What we do with it is we take it captive and kick it out. We don't dwell on it, think about it, fantasize about it, those kind of things. That's where we need threshold thinking about what we're thinking about. And this is a lesson for all of us. That's what I mean by bouncing our eyes. David didn't do that. He just dwelt on her. He fascinated by her, inquires of her, brings her up. It was like he had lost the battle a long time ago. And, this is very, I guess, practical. We need to all realize we are just a millimeter away from doing something stupid. We're centimeters away from sin. We're a handshake away, an introduction away. We're a thought away from falling into temptation. We're just so close to sin. And we need to learn to take captive our thoughts and make them obedient to Christ so that we go from sinning to winning. I mentioned threshold thinking. Here's a real practical example. I remember seeing a cartoon. There was a cartoon, I think it was called Kathy. And Kathy was on a diet. And she was in her car driving. And she thought, I am going to stop at the supermarket. As she began to think about what she was going to buy at the supermarket, one of the things she thought about was a chocolate bar. And she thought, I will buy that. I'm going to buy that chocolate. No, I'm not going to buy the chocolate bar, but I do got to go to the supermarket. And then the next thing shows her, okay, I'm going to buy the chocolate bar, but I'm not going to eat the chocolate bar. I'm just going to buy it, save it for later. Maybe I should buy two. No, I'll be good. I'll only buy one and I'll save it for later. I won't have it for now. Gets it to the counter, purchases it, includes the chocolate bar. She's already lost the battle. She's eating that thing. The next frame shows her just munching down. Where was the battle lost? Was it when she went into the store? Was it when she was at the counter? Was it when she was at the shelf where she grabbed the chocolate bar? Where was it? Where was the battle won and lost? It was at the very beginning when she first thought about having a chocolate bar. That's where she should have taken her captive her thoughts, made them obedient to Christ, and then she could have gone into the store without having that battle in her face and even walked by the counter that has all the chocolate bars on it with strength because she leaned on Christ. Now, that was not a Christian comic. I'm adding to it, but the principle is there to walk in strength when you know that's weak. You gotta know your tendencies. Like I am not tempted anymore by cigarettes. I could walk through people puffing away, billows of smoke happening. Does not tempt me. And I know that people in the midst of quitting, they're like, I just gotta have a cigarette. The smell of smoke, or have a coffee. I need a cigarette. I understand that, but for me, that's not a temptation anymore. Gave it up a long time ago. Drugs and alcohol, not a temptation for me to buy drugs and alcohol. Not a temptation to have the cannabis stores in my face. They're not tempting to me. But I know my tendencies. I will get tempted by a comfort, ease lifestyle. I'll get tempted by coveting other things that I think I want, or tempted by just a number of things. Bad attitudes, narcissism. It's all about me. I want how does this affect me? There's lots of things I get tempted by. And I have to be aware of those temptations. I have to be aware of the tactics of the enemy. I have to be aware of the timing of things. Alcoholics Anonymous have a great acronym that they use a lot called HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And they know whenever they are hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, that means halt. Just stop. Because that is at one of your weakest points. And for the Christian, if you are hungry, you are weak. If you are angry, you are weak in that moment. If you're lonely, your mind begins to wander, you are weak in that moment. If you're tired, be careful. You are weak in that moment. Put the remote down. Go to bed, etc. Because when you recognize the HALT principle, which is a great principle, it helps you take captive those thoughts on the threshold of when they happen. When you learn to do that, when you take captive your thoughts, when you realize you're in a battle and you need to just snap out of that battle and you lean into Christ, you know what? The Holy Spirit lives inside us, and the fruit of the Holy Spirit is self-control. One of the fruit. It's self-control. So we can rely on him to be with us right in the midst of the battle, and he will get us through this, and we will grow in our ability to resist the temptations of this world and to defeat the tactics of the sniveling, snarling, loudmouth little ghoulies that are attached to us, that harass us, that tempt us, that want us to be taken out, want to destroy us, want to kill us. They're against you and your family. They hate you. We can resist the enemy. We can resist the temptation when we focus on Christ, make him king of our heart, king of our life, king of our mind, taking captive every thought in what we call threshold thinking.